What?
About the wedding.
Technically.
Okay, can I tell you technically about that wedding? I thought her dress was so immaculate. It was so beautifully executed, fit her like a glove. You couldn't see any seams on it. All the lace was hand cut and hand appliqued all over. I thought she looked pristine and gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm very much at the moment into this whole thoroughbred look. That kind of waspy, pure. Maybe it's
Waspy.
a real waspy. Maybe it's kind of getting away from where I was. And very thoroughbred. I kind of love that whole modern take about her doing everything herself as well.
Yeah.
And he must be a breast man because that little breast accentuation.
Yeah.
That little kind of.
What did you think about the fact that she did her own makeup?
I thought it was quite a modern, kind of approachable thing, and from my perspective, kind of trying to get to girls to kind of do more of their own makeup and not be
Because
afraid.
you always say that about it being empowering. I think that's pretty empowering if you're going to have 10 billion people watching you and you've done your own makeup. That's pretty, for a girl to do that, I think that's great.
Yeah, and I also think it shows how controlled and how beautiful that and considered that relationship is.
Yeah.
I think it's been 9 years, she felt comfortable,
Yeah.
in front of all that public glare, and, she kind of did what she wanted, and I think it ultimately brides, I always say that you look like yourself, just a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I think she kind of did that, and when I saw him turn around and say, you look beautiful,
Yeah.
I thought, that's nice, And the way they finished it off in the end, where he then even drove himself away with her, was kind of that whole extension of that whole modernism as well. So I think the blush it was a little bit better after they came out, pumped
Really?
up a bit, and then the lip was a little bit pumped. She was a bit natural at
Just
first.
flushed with colour.
A little bit,
Oh, she'd had a bit of a pash too.
She did, maybe. Maybe at the back it was a little bit of a reward. Here you go. Away from the queen.
You know what I love though? I love the fact that it was just, there was all that pomp and ceremony, which I love, but there was a realness about it as well, and they looked in love, and they had, two really cute kisses on the balcony, and she was very princess-like, but still very modern. There was a modernity about it. I would have liked the skirt to have been a little bit bigger. Just on the drama. I love the waspy thing, but I also like the ethnic thing, and you know how we like things a
little bit more dramatic.
bit more dramatic.
But you know what else I kind of loved? I love that he was wearing the red.
Yes, brilliant.
And that was really kind of amazing on him,
Yeah.
and it really gave a strong, statement with him together. And I kind of loved, as you said, that fun, like the beginning part where Harry kind of looking around, she looks amazing. He tried to control himself, and as soon as he saw her, he was generally surprised.
Yeah.
But he still had that kind of compliment to her.
Yeah.
So, and you're right, that whole moment of like the kiss and, the whole realness and passion to kind of not modernise the monarchy, but just make it even more approachable, I think is going to go a long way for them.
Yeah, I think it is modernising it because they haven't had anything like this for ages, and it really is the next guard, of royals. It was nice. It was all that she looked sexy and beautiful and really chic at the same time.
Yeah, and having 4 daughters, I kind of also loved the father.
Yeah.
He had this nervousness, but he was so
You're going to cough
proud.
up some cash for 4 wedding dresses,
He was like so proud,
Yeah.
And when they got
Yeah.
on that balcony,
The mother was beautiful too.
the mother was stunning,
Yeah.
total perfect mother of the bride.
Yeah.
But the mother, I love this moment with her when they got out on the balcony. You could visibly hear, Kate kind of getting so excited, saying, "Oh wow!" And the mother as the father was fumbling because he was nervous to get around, she was waving to the crowd. To then looked around, there was no other royal wave. She put her hands down. I thought that's just this real approach that she comes from a real, from the ground up. So I love that whole romance of it, and I think that William appreciates the way that it's all being worked. So with the skirt, I understand what you mean. Coming through that huge church on that
Just
red,
a bit more drama.
a little bit more made it worked and kind of given her a bit more.
Not that I didn't like it, but
This was all pretty. All this was.
Yeah, that was
Can I
immaculate.
interrupt you? I just want to get a take on what the Americans will think of it and how they've been thinking about it, because there's such a celebrity culture, and this is the ultimate celebrity. And then I'd like you to talk about how it's going to impact bridal trends, both her and Pippa. So if you could talk about America and the whole pop culture thing and how the royal thing is going to work in from your US perspective.
Oh, good.
So what's your Hollywood take on them as like a red carpet couple?
It's kind of interesting because over the last few weeks, it's amazing how obsessive the American culture, which is supposed to be the world's biggest democracy, is about the royalty. And every president kind of is a king and a queen within their time. But I think that they're really in love, with Kate, in that the way she's really a contoured girl, and she really knows how to kind of work. She's very slim, she cares about the body. That's a very Hollywood moment, you know. There's nothing that was imperfect about her. Even her sister, it was a total Hollywood moment.
Yeah.
I think they're going to love you know, when they turn up there and they finally get to see that realness come to them. I think that New York was so obsessive that they were doing windows across all retail outlets. So they're just going to celebrate it because they don't have that royal thing, but yet Americans kind of live a little bit conservative and regalness.
Yeah.
Outside that front Hollywood red carpet, the back is also conservative. So I think that marriage, you know, will kind of show that you can basically go and buy a little bit of a dukedom yourself.
Yeah, sure.
You know, as long as you
Sure.
kind of do these things,
Yeah.
you know, will kind of work. And it's kind of, in Texas, I'm sure they're going to try and go and buy a title, you know, and that will be okay. So
I think
it'll
that
be
dress
great.
will get blown out all over the states. Do you know, they'll all, you know how they, it was kind of, there was something quite American about it, I thought. Do you know, it was like a take on Grace Kelly's wedding dress, had that sort of like strapless thing underneath, and you know, like that sheer lace on top. So I hope here it'll just, we'll see a decrease in strapless dresses. I'm a bit over them, to be honest. I mean, like just about every girl wears it, whether they should or whether they shouldn't. So it'd be nice to see if they kind of take a tip from that and translate into some beautiful French laces and something a bit different.
Yeah.
Can I interrupt you? I just want like some quotes from you about the new media, HDTV, this image of her dress, her makeup, everything being plastered everywhere, that need for perfection, and how normal girls can kind of replicate that for their own big days.
Okay. You know, so I think the whole thing with like the efficacy now is with the consumer because of all the ecosystem in the social media world. You know, she was such a darling of that whole HD social media world where there's going to be uptake at every level with, you know, the trends will kind of translate at every level, whether it be the hair, the little minimalist jewelry but quite spectacular, the dress, the kind of, you know, everything. So I think that's going to be quite a movement for a period to see, because there was really kind of a lack of inspiration in that. Like I was kind of a bit tired of just hearing the old Vera Wang story. Now Vera Wang can take an inspiration from somewhere else, you know? And I think that you're right, like going with a little bit, you know, more and kind of being a little bit more considered, you know, will be kind of quite pretty. And I think that the consumer is now going to have direct access to it and they'll demand
It was great, you know, with high definition TV. I mean, when they did close-ups of her, I mean, you can see everything. You can actually study that image, which I think is what girls do. They, you know, they study their favourite celebrities, and you could see exactly what she'd done on her eye and exactly what those earrings look like. And we're at that, you know, we're there now. You know, in that high definition world, like on the internet, was so instant. Like you could literally, you know, once you saw it, you could pull out your Vogue patterns and start cutting out the dress that night, you know, before you
exactly
could have had it made the next day.
Exactly. And the thing is that she's probably a celebrity culture girl herself. She's grown up in reality TV.
Yeah.
So she was probably very conscious of what she wanted to translate, because she was then conscious that she would become a major state.
She's really good at it. It's
Yeah,
not
the
like,
eyes,
you know,
a woman can take and do that little bit of liner now.
Yeah.
That's a little bit more than a wasp. Wasps don't do that much liner.
Yeah.
You know, and then the blush and the fact that it was played on that perfect skin. I think having been brought up in that.
The girls are more savvy, and she was. Well, because they cut to footage of Princess Diana when she got married, and she was really like a deer in the headlights when you looked at that footage, and then you looked at the footage of Kate, and she was really confident. Do you know? I mean, she knew what she was doing. She was, you know, eye contact with everybody. She seemed really at ease and relaxed, even though there's like millions of people watching. I mean, anybody else would have folded, but I think they're aware of that far more than what people were 10
And there were
20
no
years ago.
tears.
No.
You know, that was interesting too. I think that's kind of being brought up in that world of like being very savvy at reality TV.
They're not wogs like us.
No, they're not ones like us.
We
I
would
would
have
have
been
loved a bit of a
falling.
tear from
Yeah,
someone. You know, just a bit of an emotional. You know, the interesting thing was her sister, that tan. We love a tan.
Yeah, we do
I
love a tan. No, I love a tan.
My subterranean. So, but she kind of went a little bit overboard, I thought, for that kind of.
She was wearing white.
I know.
Oh, listen, you've seen me in summer.
I know.
I've seen you in summer. Who are we to say that was?
I know, but I thought maybe in that kind of royal, it should have been a little bit more white.
You know, dare I say it? I think there was something a bit sexy going on at that wedding.
Okay.
And we haven't seen that. You know, like
Be good to see the behind the scenes stuff.
rectory footage.
Bit flirty dirty. Flirty dirty. So.
But I thought it was great. She was wearing a white dress. You know, it was cream, and I thought she looked beautiful. I think it was like a really, you know, good compliment.
The Middletons all have sexy bodies. The mother, you know,
Mother's
Pippa
hot.
and Kate.
Father's handsome.
Yeah, they're just kind of really great. The brother was kind of like, you know, did his thing as well. So I thought they were all kind of this. They're married. It's good stock.
Yeah.
Good stock.
Yeah.
Good breeding stock
Yeah,
for the
good,
royal
nice.
family.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah.
Congratulations to the Queen.
and the whole of the empire, the Commonwealth.
Thank you.
No, well, you're going with